What's up, guys? It's Archer here. Welcome back to our Ootp 19 series with the Kansas City Royals, and it's safe to say that Jerrion Ealy has been pretty impactful for us. I went through and resimmed everything. This game on Sunday the 6th against Jacksonville is when he came up, and we immediately went on a 4-game winning streak. He got injured in this Boston game. The next day we went on a 4-game losing streak. Now he's back with us. Jerrion Ealy's record with the team so far is 11-3. So, yeah, safe to say that he's been pretty great for us. Give you a look at some of the other stats. He's currently hitting 381, 409, 651. He already has 3 home runs for us, and again is playing absolutely stellar defense, so we couldn't be happier. Justin Dunn has emerged as the de facto ace of this staff so far, 3.52 ERA and 94 innings pitched. Justice Sheffield kind of holding his own in his age 25 season. Forrest Whitley is now off the DL, and with another start under his, a couple of starts actually under his belt, has really brought things back under control, and he's looked like a pretty good pitcher since then. Other than that, Trevor Oakes is steadily bringing his ERA down little bit by little bit, and as you can see, he leads our staff in innings pitched, so he's still soaking up the innings, and that's always good, keeping our bullpen healthy, because our bullpen, because it's not been taxed too heavily, it has maintained a 3.46 ERA. Our defense is second in the American League. Everything seems to be coming up pretty well. We're 4 games out of the wild card. I think that we may actually just be able to make that up. But even if we can't, we're sitting at a 530 win percentage. I'm pretty happy with the way things are going. And, you know, we've got prospects to come. Murdoch Blagden has a dead arm right now, but he's in Double-A, not having the best of seasons, but he'll be up at some point. Jack Bolger will be up at some point. Noah Cardenas will be up at some point. You know, we're going to keep adding talent to this club, so I think we definitely have the start of something special here. In the meantime, let's go to the international amateurs and continue adding some talent to this organization if we can. A couple of cheap pitchers that don't look too bad, Juan Nessie and Juan Monje. So if we end up getting maybe a little bit cheaper of a buy, we may be able to go after them. Jorge Casillas looks like a third baseman to me. He's high in leadership, loyalty, and work ethic, which is always really nice to see, especially for a young player like this. Looks like he'll eventually be a third baseman, especially with that arm, but probably a pretty good one. So that's not a huge concern at all. He does want the whole $5 million though, so that's something to consider. Jorge Olivas. I mean, that looks like a pretty good prospect except for his defense, so not really sure how to take that. This is a really good first baseman, although he doesn't have the... he'd be questionable at first base. That might be, you know, below average defense there, but the hitting ratings are really intriguing. Is there anybody else that I really like? No, not you. Maybe this Baden Durrington. It's not great. Yeah, I'm not seeing anybody else that I'm really excited about, so it seems like to me the choice is between Luis Zurita and getting one of those pitchers, or this one looks like a two-way player. Yeah, he is. Or just going and throwing the full 5 at Jorge Casillas. So let's take a look really quickly at OTP scouting ratings and see if they've identified either one of those pitchers better than we have. No, it doesn't look like they have. Alright, well, if they don't see something more in them, I think that we are fine to just try for Jorge Casillas, and we'll give him the full $5 million, and we will see how that does. Now, the next thing on our schedule is the 31st. That'll be the trading deadline. And at that point, we have to kind of make a decision on whether we are contenders or not. I would say probably not, but there's definitely several holes that we would need to fill if we consider ourselves that. We could probably stand an upgraded catcher because our catching situation has been pretty bad this season. Yeah, pretty bad. Tellez has held his own. He's been good. Merrifield has not been great, so a second baseman would work. A third baseman in place of Palacios would work. Shortstop is fine because of the defense. Left field is good. Ely's obviously set in center. Khalil Lee has been one of our few standouts. So yeah, it looks like, second or third base, catcher, somewhere in there. We would need somebody. If we really fancied ourselves to go win some things, we would probably need another top-of-the-line starter. So that seems like an awful lot to buy. But it might be worth just looking around for some value pickups if we can find them, something in the range of, maybe like just a decent addition, like a third baseman, that sort of thing that's not going to be amazing for us, but can just kind of make us that little bit better, maybe assure us a wild card spot, and then be a good piece for us going forward. I think that's the sort of thing that I would be looking for at the trade deadline. So I'm going to sim ahead probably until, let's just say, the end of this, or the beginning of this Seattle series here on the 23rd of July. And then I will be back, and we'll talk about some trade ideas then. Alright guys, just a quick update before we get into the other things. Jorge Casillas has signed for us, so I'm going to add him to our prospect shortlist, and hopefully he can be good for us sometime in the future as we continue to try and add talent constantly to that farm system, make sure that whatever we build here is sustainable and isn't just going to last, 2 or 3 years. Also, Aaron Bummer, we've already put him on the DL, but he did get diagnosed with elbow inflammation. He'll be out 7 to 8 weeks. And that is not really good for us, as you can imagine. It's actually a pretty big loss. We have called up Eric Stout from the minors to replace him, but he had a 5.34 ERA in Omaha, our AAA club, so let's just say that he doesn't really inspire confidence at the moment, but hopefully he'll be all right, and he'll be a serviceable replacement as that sort of lefty specialist sort of player at the end of our bullpen, but we'll see. I have not very high hopes, but I'm just, he's our only option, so that's what we're going with. In the meantime, we've been playing relatively well, but it's not been enough to move us any further up towards the standings. We're 5 games out of the wild card now, and it is looking like we're going to have to make a bye if we want to get into the playoffs. And it looks like it's going to have to be at catcher or third base, or second base. Second base would also work for us. As you can see, we're 15th in runs scored, so obviously that's something we have to address. On-base percentage and home runs are really important, and we are not doing well in either of those categories. So we're really going to have to step it up. I'm not really entirely sure about that. I'm going to let us go until the end of the New York series, like I said, before making any hard and fast decisions, but I'm definitely leaning towards that sort of value buy mentality at this moment, because, like I said, we would have had to really turn it on for me to consider us, top-of-the-line contenders. We haven't done so. So now it's time to pivot, look for value, see what we can get out of a wild card run, because, once you're in, you never know, but just make sure that we don't give up too much of our prospect talent and mortgage too much of our future for a year that probably isn't going to be putting us in title contention, as hard as that is for me to admit. So I'll go until then, and then we will look through some trade options. Alright guys, it is now July 23rd. We're at the beginning of that Seattle Mariners series, and I've made my decision. We are 1.5 games out of the playoff race, and we are looking pretty strong. I'm almost certain that we can make it into the wild card games right now, and there's a very, very outside chance that we could make a run at a division if everything comes together. but we are going to need to buy if we're going to do that. Whit Merrifield is just not cutting it. Jermaine Palacios has stepped it up a bit, but it just really is not doing it for me, to be honest with you. And Xavier Fernandez could use an upgrade too. So that's where I'm looking to upgrade. I think that our run prevention is fine. Obviously, I'd like to put somebody other than Scott Blewett in that 5th spot, but, Blagden is kind of maybe going to be getting there by the end of the season, and it's not a huge issue right now, so I'm not going to worry about it. Now, when I'm looking to buy a player at a specific position, the first place I go is always the player search and shortlist, or the find a player feature. And in this case, I'm going to go to hitters. I think I'm going to click search all leagues, so that will include minor leaguers, which is, maybe not exactly what I want, but just something good to look for. I'm going to start at third base because it seems to me like that would be the place where I'm most likely to get somebody that fits my needs. I think finding a really good second baseman or catcher is going to be a bit more difficult. What I'm really looking for here is power and a good eye, because those are two things that Palacios doesn't give us right now. He gives us a fairly good average, but it's an empty average. He's only walking like 2% of his plate appearances. That's unacceptable. He's only hit like 9 home runs, which, it would be fine given the rest of our offense was power heavy, but it's not. We need power from that position. So that's how I'm going to start the search. If we have too many players to sort through from there, then we'll just keep narrowing things down more and more until we find a player that we like, and then we'll see if it's something we can make work. So yeah, that's too many players for me to sort through. So what I'm going to do is, what's more important to me? Probably the eye. So let's just kick that up one notch. Okay, that's more manageable. So Freddie Freeman is obviously not somebody we're going to get. Taylor Motter looks like an interesting pickup, but he is 31. He can play a ton of positions. Let's see where Atlanta is in the league. They're not going to be looking to sell off pieces. They're a very good team. Rafael Devers is great, but he's young, and I don't need a superstar. I just need a good player. Chris Bryant is in that category as well. Donaldson is too old and can't play defense. Richie Schaefer is oddly fits like just those two requirements and nothing else. Valbuena is too old. Miguel Sano, probably too good. $16 million salary is more than I would want to be paying, I think. Although the Twins are far enough down that maybe they'd consider trading him, but no, I don't think so. I mean, it's somebody to consider just like in the back of my mind, but other than that, I'm not really into it. The Mets traded for you back in 2019, Joey Gallo, and let's see where the Mets are, because that would be a very interesting name. Oh, right, they're on top of the division. I just looked at that. Okay, so Joey Gallo is out. Greg Diekman, he can sort of play third base. To be honest with you, I'm not really into it. Oakland's not a very good team, though. Let me look at Matt Chapman for just a second, because he's got great defense. He's not putting up great numbers. It was just a name that I recognized. So, yeah, I don't think either of those are ideal, but I will definitely keep those in mind to look at. There's no way they're going to trade Tatis Jr. or Vlad Guerrero, so I might as well not even look. Brian Dozier? No. Maybe Rendon if the Nats are bad, but I think they're in third place in that division. Oh, no, they're at the bottom. Okay. So that makes that very interesting then. He's not having a good season, and his last 2 seasons have been pretty bad, which does not bode well for his ability to turn it around. Alright, so Rendon, Diekman, and Chapman as a distant third option, depending on price. Okay. Just because I'm thinking maybe we can luck out and find a catcher. Let's just take a look. Alex Jackson, you're in AAA, but you're quite good. You've actually seen some major league time and you've been pretty good. Unfortunately, you can't play defense, so that's kind of out. Zach Collins is the same way. Schwarber, no. Joe Davis, no. Yasmani Grandal is not going to, yeah, so just no point. Let's look at second base. A lot of names here, it looks like, but a lot of them are from our third base list. Willie Calhoun? No, that really shouldn't be somebody I'm looking at. Okay, so it looks like our three options have been pretty much set for us. Let's take a look at what we would be seeing in a trade. So Rendon has a 3-year deal at $28 million a year. Wow. So they would need to retain some of that. Probably half. Yeah, let's just start there. Obviously, we can't give up Ely or Bitsko because we just drafted him. Casillas, I don't want to give up because, again, we just got him. Blagden is out. Bolger's probably out. Cardenas has been unsuccessful enough in his minor league career that I would consider it. Rodolfo Esquivel is kind of the balance of hasn't been great and maybe we don't need him, that he would be a good starting point. So they would have to think about it. Okay, yeah, that sounds about right. Rodolfo Esquivel, he's sort of the, prototypical shortstop, if you will. Good defense, good speed, pretty good contact and all, but not great home run power. And I think, yeah, he's a bit expendable in our organization, and that seems pretty close. So so it looks like 50% for Anthony Rendon, and Esquivel would maybe do it. All right, so that seems like a decent option. Let's go and check with the Athletics, and we'll go to their major league roster. Why don't we start with Chapman? Is he? Well, he's older, but he plays actual third base though. He's on a minimum contract. I'm almost certain that Esquivel would do it, right? No, that's not a good deal for us. What would it take? Okay, not much more, but more than Washington is asking. Yeah. So that would basically do it. Okay, so Brogdon and Esquivel, I mean, that's not too much more than just Esquivel. Let's see if Diekman is a little less expensive. If anything, he seems to be pretty much exactly the same. Yeah, he is. Okay, well, now I have to think about who I would want more. So Matt Chapman, the defense is obviously appealing for me. He's an extreme pull fly ball hitter, which plays into his power. He's on pace to hit 30 home runs despite not having a great year. So that has value in and of itself. He has an OBP lower than 300, but it's pretty close, and he's also, I don't know, that's pretty hard to justify, to be honest with you. However, compared to Palacios, probably doesn't look that bad. Let's compare, actually. Let's compare U to U. Yeah, I mean, he's better in almost every way. Other than contact, it looks like, and avoiding Ks. Let's look at batting stats, though. So he has more doubles, not quite as many triples, but that doesn't matter. More than twice the home runs. More runs scored, a lot more walks, good amount more strikeouts. His OPS is better, as is his OPS plus. His weighted on base is better as well. In his career, let's see. In his career, his OPS has been better. His WOBA has been better. His OPS plus has been better. So he is superior in every way, pretty much. Now, is he so much superior that he's worth giving up Esquivel and Jonathan Brogdon? Yeah, probably. Especially if we consider that he is 28 and on an arbitration eligible contract. So it's not like it's a huge price difference. And we're Kansas City, so we have to think about this thing in comparison to Rendon. Because I would prefer Rendon probably, but at the same time, I'm going to have to pay him $14 million a year, even with them taking half of his salary. So, I mean, that's something that I have to think about. And whether I could spend that, whatever it's going to end up being, 14 over 3 years, versus he'll probably end up getting paid like 3, 5, 7. So, I mean, we're going to be saving something like $30 million. Does that sound right? Somewhere around there, yeah. So, I don't know. Could I spend that $30 million in a way that makes up for the value? Yeah, probably. I think he's a better option than Diekman just because he can actually play third base and play it really well. So out of our 3 options, it looks like Matt Chapman is the best one, considering he's not too much more expensive. And I think that's as deep down the logic rabbit hole as I want to go. So let us see if there is anything we can attach to this that would make it more valuable. Like, for example, a Sean Murphy. Now, Sean Murphy looks like a guy who could be kind of decent offensively while being plus defensively. He's not shown it, but he played decently in AAA in 2019. So he may be a bit of a bounce back candidate. If nothing else, he's a better backup than the guy we have. I mean, I imagine it would take a haul to get both of them. So Esquivel, Brogan, not much more than we've been looking at, actually. Juan Amezquita. Wow, that was real bad. Okay. But yeah, I mean, that seems fine. So Murphy and Chapman for Esquivel, Brogan, and Amezquita. Doing the calculations in my head. That seems roughly fair. Starting third baseman for 3 years. A backup catcher, maybe starting catcher for the next 5-ish years. Yeah, that seems worth it to me. Okay. And now our only concerns are realism, which 11.5 games out of first place, not even in the wild card hunt, makes sense that they'd be selling people off. Murphy's 26, so maybe not, but he's hitting terribly. And then Chapman is 28, which is not too far off the age that I think they traded their other star third baseman, so I can see it happening. They want to reload before Armenteros comes up. Yeah, that seems to check out. And in terms of players that we might have coming up, Michael Doolan is the only third baseman that we have marked, and he's down in rookie ball. Yeah, it sounds like this is going to end up being good. So let us Oakland Athletics. Trade is already up. Should I try and steal a prospect just to be petty? Let's see, who's a guy that's real young but has decent potential in their system. Let's just go by name alone. Dakota Chalmers is a strong candidate off of just names. Danny Rote, that's a good one. Nope, drafted less than a year ago. Jack Leftwich, that's nice. How close? Oh, never mind. Yeah, no, I'm just good with this. Let's go ahead and complete the trade then. Alright, I think that that's going to be really good for us. We'll see. It's a bit of a risk. It's definitely a bit of a risk. Thankfully, we're not giving up any of the prospects that I was like in love with. Esquivel is a guy that I did sign, and I think I signed him for... Yeah, it doesn't tell me how much I signed him for, but I probably signed him for a good amount of money, and so I at some point thought pretty highly of him, but after 2 years, he doesn't look amazing, and, not that that's really any indication at 17, but, it wasn't like I was like, oh, this is the next superstar. Brogan, I'm not too high on. Amezquita is a pitcher, and that's always kind of valuable, but again, I'm not super upset about it, and I think we got some really nice pieces. So let's go ahead and set that up. I will... actually, I'm going to have to move some people around. So it looks like Nicky Lopez is probably a better backup than Palacios, yeah? Maybe. Yeah, I think so. Is he hitting better? Nicky Lopez is hitting real bad. Yeah, maybe actually we demote Nicky. Okay, and also Williams Astudillo. Let's demote him as well. And then we will bring on the two guys that are hopefully going to drag us into a playoff race. Now, is Fernandez better than... Is he better than Sean Murphy? Not this year. So maybe not. I'll let the bench coach decide. No, he's going to start Sean Murphy. All right. Well, now if you look at our graphical depth chart, now we have Chapman, who's a 70 grade defender, Simmons, who's an 80 grade, and then good defense at second, plus defense. So we have plus defense at 3 out of the 4 outfield spots, double plus defense at third base, I guess triple plus at shortstop. We have plus defense at catcher, double plus defense at left, triple plus defense in center, and then we have above average defense in right field. So right field and second base are the only place we don't have plus defenders now. And also hopefully we've upgraded the offense, which is what we were going after. So I am pretty happy with that. I think what I will do now is go until the end of August, and then next episode we will go into September. We'll do the playoff race, hopefully, if we're still in it, and then maybe for the first time we'll do some playoff action, so that would be pretty cool. For now, though, I'm just going to go until the end of next month, so the end of August, and I will give you a team update. We may go through some prospects really quickly, and then I'll sign off, so I will see you at the end of August. Well, guys, I said that I would be back at the end of August, and here I am. It has not been a good month for us. Especially at the end of it, we just went on a huge losing streak, starting with this game against the Angels, and then the whole series against the Astros, the series against Tampa Bay, and the first two games of this Cleveland series. It has just been absolutely brutal. A 9-game losing streak, which ended up putting us at 10-19 for the month. We were .500 for the month until that struck, and just been really difficult. Forrest Whitley got injured during that time. So did Rowdy Tellez. He's out for 5 weeks. Aaron Bummer is close to coming back, but I don't know how much that can really help us because he's just a bullpen piece. Murdoch Blagden has been promoted to AAA just in the hopes that, I don't know, maybe he can come up here and do something, but looks like it might just be a really frustrating, really close but not quite season. We can't really blame it on our trade deadline acquisitions, though. They've been everything that we've expected of them. Matt Chapman has hit 12 home runs while he's been here. He's put up an .870 OPS. He's played great defense. I really think this was a good pickup. He was on pace for 31 home runs, I believe. Now he's on pace for 36. Really excited about maybe what he can bring for us next year. Sean Murphy has not been amazing, but he has more than held his own as a catcher. 795 OPS in the time he's been here, plus his defense, really good. And they are not the reasons why we've been struggling. Jerry Neely has been really good as well. Obviously not as amazing as he was when he first came up, but you couldn't have expected him to sustain that level of production the whole way. It just has been rough. A couple of our pitching performances haven't been that great. Justin Dunn has stumbled a bit, so has Justice Sheffield. Again, the injury to Whitley, it's just all gone a bit sideways in this month, so hopefully September will be better. I'm not sure. I am going to take you guys through a couple of our prospect performances. Obviously, Murdoch Blagden, we mentioned, he's up at AAA now. Debatable whether he's deserving of it or not, but he has the ratings at least to be able to succeed there. Robinson Ortiz is still in AA. He's not had the most amazing season with a 4.79 ERA. Trey Benton has a 3.88 in Lexington, and that's going to earn him a late season call up to AA. JP Gates has been on fire and is going to do the same, so they're both going to earn late season call-ups to AA. Caleb Hill, probably him as well, just based on his ratings more than anything. Michael Doolin has actually been quite good in both the Pioneer and the Arizona Leagues, so I think it's time he got his shot in A-ball. I forgot to take Mezquita off my short list. Nick Bitsko has struggled, but he's a 19-year-old, so I'm not super worried yet. And he has hit, so if nothing else, maybe he has that to fall back on. Cooper Benson has not been amazing, but he's been pretty good. I think he would be getting his shot in A-ball if he was not injured. Lucas Gordon has not been great. I'm tempted to just throw him into, the Pioneer League maybe. Ron Roy has not been great. I think he deserves the same treatment. That brings us to our batters. Anthony Siegler, rest in peace. I mean, he retired to go play football, but still, rest in peace. Henry Gargas has been decent at AA. I think it's a bit of a stretch to say that we're going to call him up to AAA, though. I just don't see it. Noah Cardenas has really struggled in the Sal. It's been pretty disheartening to see, to be honest with you, because he doesn't make sense. His ratings are good, his mentals are good. He just has seemingly everything going for him, except that he's not happy. But to this point, just hasn't performed. Ronnie Mauricio, not doing great in the Sal. He is only 20, though, so we'll just maybe leave him there and see what he can do. Adrian Del Castillo, struggling in high A, but as a 21-year-old, I'm not, as a catcher especially, I'm not worried. Casillas actually looked fairly decent in his first taste. Those aren't bad DSL numbers for sure. Arturo Meneses, not great. Looking like not one of our finer signings. And then, of course, Esquivel should not be on my short list anymore. Jack Bolger, though, actually has been really a bright spot. at only 20 years of age, has looked pretty good as a catcher, and at the same time putting up pretty good numbers. So he is also going to earn a late season call-up to Single A Lexington. But that's how all our prospects are doing. It's a mixed bag. Honestly, things are looking a bit thinner than I was hoping they would look at this point, but you never know. Some of those guys that are struggling right now, it could just be a bad year for them, and we will see as things go on. But as the major league club is getting a little better, the prospect ranks obviously are going to be thinner than they were when they were at the peak of their powers. So that kind of comes with the territory, but hopefully we can keep things relatively strong with some prospects to watch as time goes on. But I'm going to leave the episode right here. 68 and 71 are your Kansas City Royals at this point in the season. Next episode, we're going to do September, and then, fingers crossed, we'll do the playoffs. If not, we'll start the off season. My name has been Archer. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate all the support. I was looking at some of the numbers on the channel. It just absolutely blows my mind. I just want to thank you guys so much for watching my episodes, and hopefully I can continue putting this content out there for you guys. So thank you so much. If you did like this video, please consider leaving a like, and subscribe so that you can get my videos just as soon as you can. So that'll be it for this episode, though. I'll see you on the next one.